Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rashbi, Rabbi Shmuel ben Yehoshua, Rabbi Stephen Epstein, Rabino Esteban Epstein. Hope you're doing well. And as usual, thank you for tuning in. So the high holidays are coming. I know we've been talking about this, and you've heard this for a few weeks because this is the month of Elul. And we are continuing to read Psalm 27, our psalm for the penitential season. And we are also blowing the shofar every day, or listening or wanting to hear the shofar every day. So we're starting to get ready. Now, I've been involved in teaching. I do a lot of teaching. I teach the kids, and people come to me and they want to become Jewish. So there is a course that we teach, the Miller course, that introduces people to Judaism. It's meant for that. 18 modules, each module a different topic. And I personally never take it for granted that these people are going to go through the course and then all of a sudden they're going to, go over to Los Angeles, get in front of the Beit Din, the three rabbis, and then jump in the mikvah 3 times and bam, they're Jewish. I let them know that this is a process and it needs to be very well thought out because they are making a life decision. And I've taught people that have not converted or have yet to convert. They're still considering it, going back a few years. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. It needs to take as long as it's going to take. And of course, nobody needs to be forced to do that. But when I do go to the Beit Din, and as the sponsoring rabbi, I feel it's very important for me to be there, to support my candidate. It's very, very rewarding. It's very validating. It's very enriching. And, a lot of us, people that are watching this, are Jewish. We're born Jewish. We go through Hebrew school. We observe, the holidays. We observe Shabbat, and we keep kosher, or we don't, whatever we do. We don't eat a lot of the forbidden foods. And it's just part of who we are. And a lot of times we take it for granted. But when I sit in front of that Beit Din and I hear people discuss their story, how they got there, why, what made them decide to accept Judaism as their religion after they're born, it's very emotional. It's very touching. And again, it's very validating for me as a Jew. One of the rabbis on the Beit Din made the comment that in some congregations, and maybe we should do this ourselves at Temple Shalom of Ontario, they have times during the year when they invite these people to come up and tell their story. And, for some of us that have been doing this all our lives and it's all we know, and it's just become rote, it's become something that we just do. And quite frankly, some of us take it for granted. And to hear these people come up and talk about how they discovered Torah, and how this is, they decided that this is something they want to do, and they're very excited, and it's just so wonderful, observing Shabbat and lighting the Shabbat candles, and you're sitting, you're Jewish, and you're like, wow, it's a renewal process for us. It's very nice. Now, for me, I always like to weigh this against the idea that when a person's Jewish, they're Jewish. That's it. Doesn't matter how you got there. And I do this because, unfortunately, there are some people, when they question a person's Judaism, they don't feel like it's up to standards or whatever. And as far as I'm concerned, and I tell this to people, you're Jewish, it's nobody's business how you got there. You're Jewish, period, end of story. That's it. So I just wanted to share that to you because it's been, such a meaningful experience for me. And maybe some of you people, maybe some of you my congregants should come to one of these events and see for themselves. It's very nice. It's very, very touching and very validating. Okay, enough. Let's talk about this week's portion. And you've all been so good. You get a buy one, get one free. It's a double portion. It's Nitzavim and it's Vayeilech. So in it, Moses discusses a lot of different things, the usual part of, observing God's commandments and, don't stray and, write these down and study Torah, et cetera, et cetera. But there's one part that really kind of stood out to me as a Jew and as a rabbi. Moses tells everybody, observe these commandments. I know you're a stiff-necked people, you're going to stray, but observe them. It's not that hard. Let's let that sink in for a minute. It's not that hard. Okay, so we've got 613 mitzvot and subtract 200 some odd because we don't have a central temple, so there's things that we can't do. We can't do offerings, and in its place, the rabbis have substituted prayer and certain rites and rituals that we do instead. Okay, but 613 mitzvot. If that wasn't bad enough, we've got the Talmud, and we've got our 63 tractates of our 6 orders. And it takes, if you do the 1 page a day, the Daf Yomi, and it's not just reading a page, there's the commentary that goes along with that. It takes something like 7 years and 4 months or so to go through it, to read it. Then you've got this volume called the Shulchan Aruch. Literally, it means set table. And it is a listing of all the laws. It's over 1,000 pages. And there's Moses telling us it's not that hard. Well, you know what, folks? He's right. It's not that hard. And let me tell you why. Yes, there's a lot of things to do. But if you take all the mitzvot and you divide them based on 2 categories, okay? There's the mitzvot that involve God, Hashem, and there's the mitzvot that involve our fellow people, our fellows, our neighbors, or, the guy, woman standing next to you. And in a sense, they're 2 sets of commandments. So the ones for God sometimes can be a little challenging, okay? So Shabbat, right? There's a lot of things you don't do. I don't want to use the word can't. I want to say things that you don't do, all right? Because you want to remove the material and you want to get involved in the spiritual because you want to connect with God and you want to connect to that spiritual part of us, that part of us that's eternal. So we block out a lot of material pursuits, all right? So we don't write, we don't tear, we don't cook, we don't get involved in organized events, sporting events. When I was at Camp Ramah, they said, well, you can't have bunk against bunk, but if you want to play baseball and choose up sides, that's fine. That's okay. It's enjoyable, right? Okay. And then there's Passover. No bread, no, well, they've kind of relaxed a lot of that. So there's a lot of things we can eat that we couldn't before, like beans and stuff and corn. Okay. So no bread for a week. Yom Kippur, no food, water, or pleasure for 26 hours. Okay. So, yeah, it's a little challenging, but, it's not daunting. It's not something we can't handle. And of course, a lot of it's made so that you can understand you can conquer your temptations. And of course, there's kashrut too, where, eat this, not that. But let's look at the things that regulate our relationships with our fellow, our other people, our people that other inhabit the earth. Okay. And quite frankly, it's very, very simple. We can summarize all those laws in just a couple of sentences. Okay. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. That's easy. If it's not yours, don't take it. If you're involved in a business deal, go along with it. I mean, you can question it, try to negotiate, and you're good to go, right? Don't cheat on people. If you're married, that's it. Okay. It's very, very basic and common sense. So Moshe Rabbeinu is right. It's not that hard. What makes it hard, as we've talked about before, is this thing, this shell, this body that has all these lusts and all these temptations. Well, maybe I want to eat some lobster. If you want to. I mean, the thing looks, you ever see a lobster? I wouldn't want to eat it myself, even if I could. Cheating, stealing, it's kind of hard. Some of us want to take a shortcut. We don't, it's a lot easier to take something than go to work and, make money and pay for it. And maybe you don't have enough. You got to save up for it, Okay, understandable. But at the same time, you can do it, right? You can just deny yourselves the shortcut, and decide I'm going to be a moral person. It's that easy. It's just a matter of conquering those base desires that say, no, I want it, I got to have it, I'm going to get it, whatever, like the 10th commandment says, right? Don't covet. Well, you can want something, you can keep up with the Joneses, or in our case, you can keep up with the Steins, but don't want their thing. You can go out and want a Porsche, and that's okay if you want to go work for it and save up and then go buy it, but just don't take your neighbors. Okay? That easy. Sounds simple, hard to do, but it's simple. But that's really, I think, what Moses was saying. It's not that hard, especially if you're in a community where everybody else is doing it too. Nobody else is working on Shabbat. It's easy, strength in numbers, right? So that's why we stay with a community, and that's really kind of the key. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Look forward to seeing you in High Holidays. Yes, at Temple Shalom, out of necessity, we are charging $50 per person. 25 if you're 13 to 18. We've got 30 seats, so please get your reservations in early. We will be having a special service, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur for kids, 10 to 12. We got some wonderful people that'll keep them entertained and involved. So think about that. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you as usual for listening.